Hello and welcome again to X-Plane 11. Tonight we're at Kirkwall Airport in Orkney, and in front of us it's the recently released Islander from TorqueSim. Ideally we'd probably have it in some kind of Loganair livery, but this is one of the liveries it comes with, Hebridean, so I'm using that for now. And what I thought I'd do tonight, just to get some more practice in, is to do a couple of visual circuits here at Kirkwall with touch and goes, and then fly on to Wick and land there. At least that's a kind of my random plan for now. So what should we do? Let's jump in and let's have a look at the kind of weather situation. Plugins, Appy tab. Kirkwall EGPA. Okay, fine. Winds 130. I can't remember what the runway's 9 and 27 here, isn't it? And there's another runway as well. Let's have a look at the charts. Okay, the runway, was it 130? So we could use runway 09. I'm not sure what the circuit direction is here. Let's take a stab at left-hand circuits using runway 09. Seems reasonable. I might end up overflying parts of Kirkwall doing that, but I'm not sure. We'll see. Okay, a 09 on the heading then. So I'm just going to set my heading bug now. Just checking VATSIM as well. I don't think there's no Scottish controls not on, so probably won't bother with the flight plan. But we'll tune the radio to Unicom and announce what we're doing anyway, or at least try and do that. Okay, let's get this thing started up. It does remember switch positions and everything from your last flight. And I think my last flight I didn't get a chance to turn everything off properly, so I'm just going to make sure that all the switches are off before trying to turn anything on, including the fuel pumps up here and the magnetors for the engines. So this is a piston engine playing with two Continental, I think it's Continental engines. It's a bit like two of the engines you'd find in like a Bonanza or something like that. Handbrake is on, down is on. Rudder is working, brakes are working. Let's just look at that, sounds good. Let's just check the yoke. Yep, yoke seems to be fine. Okay, let's go for start. So we will make sure avionics are off. Yeah, we'll turn the battery on. Those are the alternator warning lights. We'll turn the beacon on before we do anything else. And the engine start procedure, you start by turning on the fuel pumps, the aux fuel pumps, just to build up, I think, fuel pressure to the, I don't know if it's fuel injectors or carbs, because there is a control down here for, I believe, what they call, I think it's carburetor heat. So I'm not quite sure. Is it carburetor? No, it's not called that. Hang on, can we get low enough to see what it's called? Intake heat. Okay, so it could be fuel injection. Anyway, I've not really used that yet. I guess not had cold enough weather. What was I doing? Engine start, fuel pumps. So I've bound the fuel pump switches to buttons on the joystick, just because you've got to turn them on and off a few times. So you turn them on before takeoff, turn them off after takeoff, on before landing, etc. Just to make it easier. Just turn them on. You'll see that the fuel flow gauges go up. We'll move the throttle lever, I think like 3 times, just to prime things, and then open it slightly. And essentially we're ready for start. So we've got the beacon on. We will turn on the right mags, and we'll start the right engine using the start switch here just by holding it over for a second. And we have nothing, because what I haven't done, I haven't turned on this switch here, which is starter isolation. It's called external spy, but it's also just starter isolation. You don't turn that on, you don't get any power to the starter. Let's try that again. So we're still clear. That's better. We now have one engine. Oh, what happened to my handbrake there? Must have been because I tested the foot brakes, which released the handbrake. So top tip: make sure the handbrake's on just before you start the engine. Okay, right engine running. We can turn off the right fuel pump. We can turn on the right alternator, and we can turn on the left mags, and we're ready to do a left engine start. What have we missed? Let's try that again. Okay, left engine doesn't seem too keen. What are we missing here? We've still got the starter on. Mags are on. Fuel pump is on. Mixture's forward. Maybe we need to open the throttle a bit more. Should we try that? No, we have nothing happening on the left engine. Let's turn off the right alternator. See if that makes any difference. It just seems like we're not getting any power to the starter. Right, looking at the... So we do have electrical gauges up here. That's the voltage and the current for something. It depends what you set this to. Left gen, battery, right gen. Battery. So we've got a fair draw on the battery there. So let's put the right alternator back on. And let's put the battery back into the green. I'm not sure if that's anything to do with it. What does it do with having the right fuel pump turned off? Ah, fuel selectors. No, fuel selector is on. Okay. Should try again. It'd be nice to be able to see the engine whilst operating the switch. I suppose if I bound that to something, I could do that. It doesn't seem to be turning very much. Okay, let's go. In case there's some kind of failure we don't know about, just go fix all systems. Not quite sure that button does anything. We should see. The right engine is working fine. Okay. Circuit breakers, have any of those popped out? Don't think so. We do still have a starter supply on. Okay, let's give it another go. Nope, the left engine doesn't seem... I haven't got any chocks or anything on, have we? Or any like covers in place. Should check that first. Let's have a look on the airplane menu. No, chocks covers, everything is off. We can get rid of passengers on this one because we're just doing a test flight. We could have a co-pilot, presumably someone to check that I'm doing the right thing, and perhaps the co-pilot knows how to start the left engine. I'll try one more time. Nope, nothing. Okay, what I'm going to do, I think I'll try mixture levers. Let's try exercising the throttle. I'll bring it back and open it slightly. Now we'll try one more time. Does not want to start. I think I'm going to have to give up on this one. Can't think of anything that I've got wrong because there's nothing else that needs to be turned on to make the starter work. It's like the starter's got no power. Is that giving me a clue? Have I done something? Have I left something turned on? I've got the beacon on. There's nothing else turned on. Avionics is not on. Generator's not on. I don't know if it makes any difference. Turning it on for the start. I can't even hear the starter doing anything. Let's try reloading the plane. Let's pick a different plane. And then we'll go back to the Islander again. This is the other plane that I've been flying quite a lot recently, the F-33 Bonanza with SimCoder's Reality expansion pack, which I love and which is a bit faster than the Islander for when you want something a bit more sporty. Same sort of engine, basically, just one of them. And obviously a lot smaller and lighter and more aerodynamic. It seems to be taking a long time, given that all I did was change aircraft. Okay. Here's a quick look at the Bonanza, which is I highly recommend. And let's switch back to the Islander. You'd think that just switching aircraft would be fairly quick, because the scenery shouldn't need to be reloaded or redrawn or anything, but it seems to take its time. It's probably going to be too dark soon to do any visual circuits. Okay, where are we? We don't have the engines running. Let's turn the fuel pumps off for now. Okay, we have the beacon is still on because it remembers where we were last time. I'm going to toggle the external supply, turn off the alternators, get controls back to the position for priming the fuel. So we'll turn the fuel pumps on. Operate the throttle. Okay, and open it slightly. This time, without messing around, without delaying, let's get the right engine started. Let's start the left engine first. So, check it's clear. We've got the beacon on. And start left engine. Okay, that's more like it. And we'll turn the left alternator on. I'm going to check it's clear on the right, which can't really see, but let's assume it is. We'll start the right engine. Okay, that's much better. We now have two engines running. Turn off the aux pumps. See the fuel pressure goes back down into the green range. Just check. Probably just turn down the sound level slightly there for the engines because they're quite loud. The right alternator can go on. Avionics can go on. Passenger notices can go on. Not that we've got any, but I suppose you meant to have them on. What else? Pitot can turn on. Turn off the external supply now and isolate the starters. Check our trim. Flaps we'll leave for now until we start moving. Okay. Let's get Happy Tab back so we can get some weather. Happy Tab has remembered where it was. Excellent. Well, I suppose it didn't get turned off. It was just the plane that I changed. Okay. Right. So 0999 for QNH. Oh, well, that's great. So yeah, one of the things I don't like about this plane is that the altimeter is in inches, and there is this conversion chart here, but it doesn't go down as low as 999. So HPA to inches. Let's put in what was it? 999, which is no. Wait a minute, that's not right. It's 999 hectopascals, which is 29.5. Yeah, is that right? Hectopascals. Okay, 29.5. So let's just turn that down. It's about right for the airport elevation, so we're happy with that. Co-pilot altimeter will make that read the same. And runway 09, we've already got a heading bug on 09, so that's okay. We're going to make left-hand circuits at basically 1100 feet circuit height, make a couple of touch and goes, and then we'll visually head to Wick. And if we're going to head to Wick, we better get the Wick NDB tuned in just to help us. So using little nav map, that tells me that it's 344 on the frequency. So let's just tune this to 344. It won't be active yet, but it will do when we get some height. Also, let's turn on this transponder. We'll set Squawk 7000 for now. Oh, let's better lean the mixture while we're on the ground anyway. Avoid fouling any spark plugs. Okay, that's fine, that's ready to go. As for comm radio, we better tune that to Unicom, and then we'll have Scottish Control as a backup. And I can't remember what that is on VATSIM in case they come online. I'll just look that up. I think it's what. 135.52. So let's get that in as a backup case. Yeah. Okay, well, so I'm guessing that's the nearest frequency we get to it. That's ready as backup, and we'll also tune COM2 to 135.52. And we'll leave the COM2 radio turned on so we can hear if they do come online. And click here to turn on audio for COM2. We'll connect on VATSIM. I might just do a quick flight plan. EGPA, EGPC, VFR. Departure time is going to be about 2000, and the route's just going to be direct. Remarks, visual circuits at EGPA before routing. EGPC. What about fuel? Yeah, we got lots, so that's fine. 2 hours, that's fine. Follow flight plan. What else? Okay, I think we're ready to go before it gets too dark. So again, I've got buttons on my yoke quadrant bound for the landing lights, so I'm going to turn them on. There's no taxi lights, there just seems to be landing lights, and we'll turn the nav lights on. We already have pitos on, avionics are on, turn on some cockpit lighting. Pitch is okay. I'm going to set takeoff flaps now, turn the fuel pumps off. We're ready to taxi to 09. How do we get to 09 from here? It looks like, yeah, we just follow the taxiway. This taxiway round here? I think, yeah, that should take us to the end of 09. The wind is, what's the wind? 130. Okay. Oh, and we're on 999 QNH, aren't we? So just make a note of that in case we need to tell anyone. Okay, I don't need to tell anyone we're taxiing, I don't think, because there's no one around, so let's just start the taxi. I've noticed running beta 6 with Vulcan that it's slightly more jerky when I use the head tracking than it was on beta 4. Other than that, beta 6 seems to work great. Again, I might just turn down engine sound slightly. You see any windsock? Yep, there's a windsock over there. Hard to tell what it's doing, not a lot. Maybe blowing slightly the right way. Assuming this is the right taxiway. We should probably stop there. I don't know. No, there's probably a stop marker closer to the runway. We can do our final run-up checks and turn on the transponder. Yeah, there's the runway around there. I'm going to just carry around here a bit and kind of make up my own stopping point. Is that runway 09? That's not even runway 09 anyway, that's fine. That's the disused section. So we stop down here. I think I might actually remove the co-pilot because I'd quite like to be able to see to the right as well as to the left. So let's just stop here for a bit. Okay, and handbrake on. Okay, co-pilot, I'm afraid you're going to have to walk back to the terminal building. Thank you. Right, that's better. Okay, run-up checks. Let's get some mixture back in. Got to 2100 RPM. And what we want to do here is mag check. So as we turn the mag off, let's do the right, you should see a very slight drop in RPM. It's only very slight, but you can just see it if you watch the needle carefully on the left. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now we'll bring the RPM back to 1500 and we'll just cycle the prop lever to make sure it's working and to circulate the oil through the propeller pitch mechanism. So bring it back, wait for about 500 RPM drop, fully forward again, bring it back and fully forward. Okay, So I think we're ready to go. We'll put our transponder on out. We've got runway lights on. We've got our trim is neutral, or ready for takeoff. Fuel pumps are on. Mixture is going to be fully rich when we start to move, and our landing lights are on. I'm going to just announce what we're going to be doing. So we're going to be taking off runway 09. Kirkwall traffic, Islander Golf Whiskey Delta Delta Charlie, about to take off runway 09 for left-hand visual circuits, Kirkwall traffic. Okay, so we are going to go. Handbrake off. Jerky movements back again. Did I say that wasn't there with beta 4? Other than that, beta 6 seems great. This should be 09. And we just confirm that by checking our heading indicator. Yep, heading east. Okay, and we should be good to go. And rotate about 65 knots. And we won't do anything until we get above about 200 feet. Then we can think about raising the flaps. We will, however, bring the props back 2500 just to reduce noise. I'm going to take the props back. Raise the flaps now, and I'm going to turn off the aux fuel pumps. When you get to about 500 feet, I'm going to turn crosswind. Just take the power back a little bit now because we don't need to go too fast here. And I'm going to start my crosswind turn. We're looking to climb to circuit height of about 1100 feet. I'll bring the prop RPM back a bit. Actually, I'll probably just leave it to about 2500. We'll leave the mixture pretty much fully rich here. It's a very lazy crosswind turn. Okay, we need to start leveling off now, so I'm just going to bring the power back. And I'm going to turn downwind. There is Kirkwall over to the left. I don't think we'll quite go that far because we probably shouldn't overfly Kirkwall at this sort of height, just doing circuits. It's a bit noisy, but we should see. Actually, we might do, given where the runway is. So maybe the circuit direction is right hand for 09 in real world. Yeah, I imagine you're not meant to overfly Kirkwall itself, and we're quite far out here as well. Okay, level up for downwind, and our aiming point is going to be to the right of that hill. Actually, we're more going to be out over the bay, so it's maybe not too bad. Just going to take the power back again, so you don't want to be going too fast here. We're about the right height. Yes, we're quite far out from the runway. just at the beam the end of the runway now, so approximately where that hill is going to be about the right point to turn, I think, to turn base. So there's the town of Kirkwall, mainly over to our left. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is put one notch of flaps down. There's no gear to put down because it's fixed, and then I'm going to start base turn and just let the plane descend gradually. Trim it so we don't descend too fast. Let me see, yep, there's the runway, so it's fine. We're on our base leg. Probably don't want to get any lower than that yet, or slightly lower in fact. Yes, we do want to get slightly lower. We'll announce it, we'll make another radio call when we're about to turn final. Kirkwall traffic, Golf Delta Charlie, turning short final, runway 09, Kirkwall traffic. Yeah, we need to descend a bit more now actually, we're a bit high. Maybe, although we're actually fairly far out. I'm going to turn final now. Let's make it a gentle turn. And I think we'll go for final notch of flaps. Yeah, I think our crosswind leg there was too long, so we were too far out really. I'm going to try and keep it a bit tighter next time. We want about 65 knots final approach speed. We want our landing lights back on, although I probably didn't turn them off. That's fine. We'll put our fuel pumps back on. Make sure mixture is full rich. Props full. Check there's no one else in the circuit that we can see. We're a bit low going by the PAPI lights, so I'll just add a bit of power here. This is a very slow turning circuit. Definitely try and tighten it up on the next one. So here we're just sort of balancing power and trim to keep our speed about 65 and keep our descent rate about right. I mean, we're a little bit low, but I don't think it'll matter too much. And also we want to keep lined up with the runway. And we do have full flaps on, so we want to go back to approach flaps for the go around. Go around, touch and go. I'll just bring the power back a little bit now. And we flared much too early. We're down. Okay, full power. Flaps up to approach. That wasn't very well done. We're up again, gear up, except there isn't any gear. Again, let's get to about 300 feet before we do anything with raising the flaps, which we'll do now. just take the power back a bit, so we don't want to just get the trim right. Oops, props back to 25. Oh, back to about 20. You don't want to shoot up too quickly when you're doing circuits, because you'll just end up too high or too fast. Turn base now. Let's see if we can do a better turn crosswind. Let's see if we can do a better crosswind turn this time. And fuel pumps can go back off. Leave our landing lights on. There we go, that's a base turn completed. Base turn, crosswind. I'm going to turn downwind now and see if we can get a bit tighter this time. We're not quite at circuit height yet either, so we're still climbing a bit. Finding the rudder pedals very sensitive on this to try and keep the ball centered. It's quite tricky. I only need a very slight touch on the rudder pedal. Yeah, still reasonably far out, but we're also trying to not overfly the main part of Kirkwall, so we've got to bear that in mind as well. So we'll try and keep nearer the town this time. It's at the end of the bay, edge of the bay. And we'll turn in a bit sooner. Nice evening sunset. Okay, I'm going to start. No, actually, we're only just at the end of the runway there, so I won't start the base turn yet. We'll fly to just before the hill. Again, we're probably going to end up a bit far out just because we want to avoid overflying most of the town. Okay, I'm going to go for one notch of flaps. I'm going to start my base turn. The flaps do make the plane balloon up, so you need to compensate for that, pushing forward a bit until you stabilise at the new speed, which matches the sort of the trim you get from the flaps. Okay. Kirkwall that was flaps, not microphone. Let's leave the flaps where they are. Kirkwall traffic, Golf Delta Charlie, turning short final, runway 09, Kirkwall traffic. It's fine, we're nice and steady. I'm gonna wait a bit longer this time before starting the final turn. Let's go for it now. Let's turn base, turn final. And I'm going to go for the final notch of flaps. And I'm going to turn the fuel pumps back on, and our landing lights are already on. And again, we're kind of matching our throttle and our trim here to try and get about 65 knots with the right sort of descent rate. Now this time we're starting a bit better on the PAPI lights, we're slightly high. So I'm going to pull the throttle back, mixture stays full rich. Pulling the throttle back will just make us descend a bit more. If we're still too fast, we can put it back a bit more and then trim up slightly, which will slow us down but maintain our descent rate. So we're not bad here actually. Maybe just trim up slightly. I'm getting a little bit low. I'll add a little bit more throttle. See if we can do a better touch and go this time. What we're going to do this time is after the touch and go, we'll take off and climb to about 500 feet, then make a right turn out to head towards Wick. We are a bit low here, so I'm just adding some power. Let's try and get lined up a bit better. It's not very good. Reduce throttle a little bit. Well, not sure why. I don't seem to be able to line it up today. We'll level out and we'll reduce the throttle back. Keep the nose up. And we're down. And full power. Flaps up 1 notch. And rotate. Gear up. Climbing nicely. Yeah, so I wasn't. Maybe there was a crosswind there that I wasn't properly taking into account, but you seem to be able to line up very well there on the runway. Okay, fuel pumps are coming off. It's about. I'm gonna raise the flaps and I'm gonna make a right turn out. I'm just gonna trim to compensate for the flaps. Let's head approximately south to start with, and then we'll try and get ourselves lined up for heading to Wick. Hopefully we'll be visual, we can just follow the islands on the coast. Let's go up to about 2,000 feet, shall we? Quite sure what's going on there with trim. I am gonna bring the props back. Let's go to 2,500, shall we? And just set that on the autopilot as a reminder. Don't think we'll use the autopilot, but we'll see. So fuel pumps are off. Lights we can. I mean it's getting dark, but we have got our nav light on, so I'm going to turn off the landing lights. Current 1,500. But once we're level, I'll check the weather at Wick, and we'll just check we're still on the correct QNH. And you notice that the ball in the turn indicator is not completely centered. I find that we need one notch of right rudder trim to do that, so I'll just put that in. And we need to level off now. And let's bring the props back to about 2300. About 23 inches on the manifold pressure, and then we'll lean the mixture. There's a EGT gauge here. We'll go for just lean of peak. About there, I think. Okay. Fine. Trim up slightly. We're still flying over the Orkney Islands here. That's Hoy out to the right, so we're not at Pentland Firth yet. When we get to Pentland Firth, we will look for the north coast and just follow the north coast down on the east side of it until that'll take us to Wick. There's some clouds there, but hopefully it doesn't get any worse. Let's get the tablet out again and have a look at weather for Wick. So 998 on the QNH. Let me just turn off head tracking for a second. I'll just look that up. Um, 998 is 2947, so let's write down 998 in our notes. And we want 2947 on this altimeter. Let's go for that. And we're a little bit, in fact we're quite a lot low now. We seem to have lost a fair bit of height, so we just climb a bit. I do hope they bring out an option in the aircraft menu thing to switch between millimeters and inches, because it would be so nice. Now I can actually see some lights down there, so I'm wondering, we're still descending. Let's just trim this properly. Oh, we've lost a lot of manifold pressure as well, so let's just have a bit more throttle. Maybe we've over-leaned. No, I don't think so. The temperature's fairly high. EGT's fairly high. Actually, no, I think we maybe have over-leaned. You're only meant to be slightly lean of peak. Okay. And you notice down here the ADF receiver is now pointing at the Wick NDB, so we're fine now. We can just use that. Oh yeah, it'd be good to know the wind as well, wouldn't it? 140, so that'll be runway 13. Yep, so we want runway 13. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set my heading indicator to heading bug to 130 degrees. So that tells us essentially that the runway is in that direction. So if we want to join, say, left base, we want to come along here and then at some point make a right turn onto left base, and then we can land. Just put a bit more power in to get a move on here. It's getting dark. Why am I moving the prop levers and not the mix levers? I'm trying to use my throttle quadrant without looking at it. Right, here we go. Should get some speed back. Now those definitely are the lights of Wick ahead, so it's interesting what you can see with a little bit of altitude. So we just kind of aim somewhere here. There's the coast now. It's actually the village John O'Groats over there. stacks of Duncansby rock pinnacles down here. Dunnet Head is over there, somewhere to that's the island of Stroma. I don't think we need Avitab anymore. Tell you what we'll do as well, we could put the Wick VOR in here and it will give us a distance, it tells us our distance. So if we do this push to select, go between COM to nav radio, it's 113.6, so we'll just put that in. And yeah, 13 miles. And on the, if you're doing like one of the procedural approaches, you want to be at, normally they start, the descent starts 1800 feet at about 6 miles out, so that gives us a kind of guideline. We are above, we're 2,500 feet above, 2,500 at the moment. We need to lose about 1,000 foot, so we need to allow about 3 miles to do that. So when we're about 10 miles out, sorry, about 9 miles out, we can think about descending, and we want to descend down to 1800. So I'm going to put 1800 in here just to remind me. There we go. And I think those are the lights of the village of Keys coming up. That's definitely Wick over there. The other thing we can do to know that we are, you know, to get ourselves lined up the runways, to remember that when the ADF needle points a beam or points that way, we want to be on a heading of oh no, hang on a minute. So yeah, we want to be on a heading of 130 plus 90. So that would be 220. So we're currently on a heading of about 210, so we're not far off. What distance are we now? 10. So okay, so in another mile I'm going to start descending, just gently, to get down to about 1800 feet. So the airport is approximately here. Let's hope the runway lights are on. So we've currently got our landing lights off, no fuel pumps off. Okay, we're at 9 miles now, so I'm just going to throttle back. Except I keep moving the wrong levers. Let's throttle back. Start a slow descent. You want to come down to about 1800, approximately. In fact, we can see the runway. That's the runway there. Okay, so I'm gonna turn slightly right here just to make, so if we are on a heading of 220, that's kind of the correct heading for a base leg. We're reasonably far out. We need to get down a bit further though. I mean, 1800 feet is just a guideline. Obviously, we really want to be down to circuit height, right? 1100, 1200 feet. So what we'll do, we can see the runway. So we'll kind of come in on a sort of diagonal base leg, I think. But if we use the distance here as a kind of guide, if we're 6 miles out, then yeah, 1800 feet, we're nearly there, so we're not too far off. Don't want to descend too quickly. I'm going to turn the landing lights on now, so we're ready. I'm going to turn the fuel pumps on. I think I'm gonna pull the throttle right back because we're going too fast, so we can slow down and we can get one notch of flaps in, which I am going to do when we get below 120. As there's a runway, we do want to be descending a bit more. Not too rapidly, so you want to trim here so that you're probably about 500 feet per minute would be a nice sensible rate. Watch your speed, it's okay. I'm going to go props and mix your full forward now. We are above circuit height quite a bit here, so I'm going to come down because we should be kind of at base leg height now, even though we're fairly far out. Wick traffic, Golf, Whiskey, Delta, Delta, Charlie. Base leg about to turn final runway 13 at Wick. Okay, we're still quite high, so we'll keep descending. In fact, I'm going to put my final notch of flaps in now. We're nearly ready to turn final. Let's do it now, in fact. I'll make it a fairly gentle turn. Again, we're looking for about 65, and we've turned too soon, so we'll just widen that out. We're 3 miles out and we're about 1,000 feet, so that's pretty much where we want to be. I can just start to see the PAPI lights now, and I think I can see whites and reds, so if we can hold about 500 feet a minute from here, it shouldn't be too far off actually. We're about right for speed, doesn't matter if we're a little bit too fast here because we've got plenty of runway. Let's try and get this one right. Oh, bit of a weather change there. I'm guessing our altitude's probably wrong now, but it doesn't matter too much. We're using the lights. We have got our landing lights on. We have our fuel pumps on, we have approach flaps, and we have no gear to put down, so we should be good to land. I'm guessing we've got a crosswind. I'll check that after. Yeah, definitely nose to the right here. And we're a bit high, but it's okay. We've got plenty of runway. So we'll throttle back slightly. Try and flare a bit better this time. And again, we've gone too high on the flare. Oops, and a bit of a bump. We'll get that right one day. Okay. We'll proceed along the runway to the taxiway. We can raise our flaps. We can reduce the mixture back a bit. I don't know, something seems to be off on the head tracking tonight. I'm not sure what it is. Whoops. Gonna miss our exit point. There we go. We've vacated the runway, so transponder can go back to on. We would turn on taxi lights, but we don't have any. We can turn off the fuel pumps now. Auxiliary fuel doing them. Wick traffic, Golf, Whiskey, Delta, Delta, Charlie, vacated runway 13, Wick. Nice clear sky. We'll just park over here on the right. Okay, and we can turn the handbrake on. We can turn avionics off. We turn the landing lights off. And I'm going to pull the mixture levers back to cut off. And alternators can go off. Nav lights, beacon, passenger notices, pitot heat, and mags. That should be us ready for next time. Let's turn the battery off. Let's just check the weather. I'm just curious to know if we did have a crosswind. I don't think there was much of one from what I remember of the forecast. Nah, it's pretty much straight down the runway, so I'm not quite sure why I seemed to be. It's moved slightly, not much though, so it should have been not much of a crosswind. Okay. I don't really want to look at the landing because I don't think it was very good, but I'll just have a quick look before we finish. Ooh, disconnect that sim. Thank you, Xpilot. Xpilot automatically disconnects when if you pick replay mode, which is good of it. Nice nice visuals there at night. I like the lighting on the sky. Very good. Yeah, the flare was way too high here. I'm just going to blame it on being dark. If you flare too high, then of course, and you pull back the throttle, then you just kind of drop and hit the ground fairly hard. So, in fact, we came back up again. So what actually happened was, let's just go back. Was pulling back too aggressively and with too much power still in, which meant we started to climb again. And then overreacting by pulling the power off too much. Oh well, we made it. Right, well with that, I'm going to leave you for now, and thanks for watching. See you next time.